Oh, how the ear assembled to a fetus.
Can laying on a bed of nails help you sleep better? I wanted to find this out.
But this story sounds a little bit crazy, that the needle bent.
You're a monster!
Okay, hi, this is Cody Zhang, and I'm the owner of Body Option Clinic, and I'm also an acupuncturist at Body Option Clinic in Vancouver, BC. Today, I'm going to do a react videos on random videos that's on TikTok that's been circulating.
My chiropractor told me this would be life-changing. Our acupuncture pen uses small pulses to trigger pressure points and relieve pain.
Okay, well, first of all, personally, I really enjoy using electrostimulations integrated with acupuncture. I find it's really helpful for the muscle recovery, and it also alleviates the lactic acid from accumulating in the muscle fibers. I mean, although the video seems a little bit crazy because it causes the muscle to have this extreme contraction, but the results tend to be really positive in general. The user need to pay attention to what they're applying from. Major muscle will be okay, but when you get to some major arteries and major nerves, I mean, we have muscle around our eyeballs, but don't get into these eye regions.
Hold it. You gotta hold it.
Dude, hold it.
Okay, these guys gonna do it. Oh, dude. You apply it onto this region of the neck, that can cause some major convulsion. Let me go back to the video. He looks like he applied the probe, yeah, on the SCM muscles. Yeah, the SCM muscle will dictate your neck flexions, meaning tilt to the left or the right. But I still don't recommend a user at home do this because, again, it's so close to the major artery, which is the carotid artery. That's a very dangerous spot to apply electricity to it. Okay. All right. Cupping can be applied to various body parts, but on the bottom of the feet, we use it quite often in plantar fasciitis, at least in my practice, because it induces blood flow and it also moves the fascia to prevent any congestions and inflammation from accumulating in one spot. Personally, I use it, and it also feels very nice to give your feet a really good suction. So it's a really good modality.
Auricular or ear acupuncture is a part of traditional Chinese acupuncture. And the interesting part here is that the ear microsystem represents an upside-down fetus. And this makes it so simple to remember what body parts would be represented in different parts of the ear. In general terms, the earlobe would be representing the head, and as you move up the cartilage of the ear, that would be representing the spine, and the caved part of the ear would be representing the internal organs. My suggestion would be to give your ear a general rub, which will help you relax, but at the same time, look for the sore spots and then try and locate those sore spots and their corresponding body parts.
Yeah, so the auricular acupressure point is a really cool and fascinating system. I learned about it when I was in school. I remember I was quite skeptical about it. There was a really random theory, especially the fetus one, like how the ear assembled to a fetus. Well, I think it's just coincidence. I don't think because our body built that way because we want to look like a baby. But I remember one time during a school year, I remember second year in the acupuncture school, I had a wisdom tooth infection. So there was a practicum course, and the teacher will be showing how to find each spot properly. I remember she pressed onto this spot on the upper portion of the earlobe, and that was extremely painful. And she asked me whether I have toothache. I told her that yeah, I'm going through some infection in my wisdom tooth. So that part not only sore, and also it looks puffier on the surface. And that was pretty bizarre. From that experience, I do believe that our body parts do have certain capacity to show signs of what's going on internally. So I would use that as a reference guide rather than a diagnostic process or to determine whether someone is sick.
Can laying on a bed of nails help you sleep better? I wanted to find this out, so I bought this acupuncture mat. The technique itself goes back to ancient China and India, where by applying pressure to various points on your body, you can relieve various health issues like back pain and stress. At first, it felt slightly uncomfortable. It was kind of like laying on a cactus, and I felt all 8,000 sharp points dig into my back. But after 10 minutes, I was actually starting to enjoy it, and I felt very relaxed. So much so that I fell asleep. I was dreaming about training Kung Fu with all my subscribers, until suddenly I woke up. And I have to say, I've never slept better.
Oh, that's so funny. And I personally have one, which is a bit more spikier than the one that he shows on the video. I'm going back to it. Yes, so except the bleeding. Yeah, this guy bled a lot at the end. So I use it every 2 to 3 days. So originally, someone introduced me to the product. I think that was 2 years ago. A friend of mine, she's from Russia, and she mentioned that she has her mother has this headaches. Her mother slept on one of this mat, and her headache got better. And I wasn't sure what that thing was, so I asked her to see if she can show me what it was. So she sent one for me, and she then explained how to use it, and I slept on it for the first time. Imagine like hundreds of needles on the back, and they're all equally painful, and it felt like a sunburn only concentrated on my back. So I wanted to just escape the first time I slept on it, but the instruction says at least sleep on it for 15 minutes. What happened next was actually quite interesting. After 2 to 3 minutes, my body started to get used to it, and my body to feel more and more relaxed into it. After 10 minutes, I fell asleep, and I woke up after 20 minutes, and I woke up. That was probably the best nap I've ever had. Slept on that mat. So a lot of literature do suggest that it improves the blood flows in the fascia and to the region of where you put the mat on. I would suggest someone to give it a try if you have some chronic pain issues and you're stiff all the time. It also improves some mental aspect of it, but because you're brave enough to sleep on a needle mat, I think you'll be able to conquer a lot more things after that.
I just need to tell you guys about what happened today at my acupuncture appointment because it was wild. I had a flare up on Sunday and it got a lot worse to the point where I could only crawl. Into the emergency room, they just said it's your spondylolisthesis back pain. They gave me a pain shot. The pain did not go away, so I made an acupuncture appointment. Now this acupuncturist is a goddess. She's truly a magic worker. She's also a Chinese herbalist. I'm obsessed with her. I was literally basically crawling into the acupuncture salon, studio, place. Told me to lay down on the table and she started to put the needles in. And I kid you not, my back spasmed so hard when she put those needles in that I kicked the poor woman in her face. She put the rest of the needles in. I felt instant relaxation. It felt amazing. She did like some cupping with some TENS unit, with some red light, with some heat. It was just, I was in heaven. Time passed that needed to pass and she came back in to remove the needles. She goes to remove the first needle and my back went into a spasm that literally shot me off the table and I screamed in her whole place. There were people outside and they were like, is everything okay? She proceeded to tell me my muscles spasmed so much during the whole treatment that the needles bent. She said she's only ever heard of a needle bending from back spasm. She's never seen it. And I could tell she was scared. And I said, I'm scared. And she said, I'm scared. I said, am I gonna have to go to the emergency room? And she said, I'm not sure. She started cupping like all around the area and like massaging to like try to calm down my back. Eventually we got all the needles out. I left there walking straight as a board. A miracle happened. I went from being in a pain level 100 to a pain level 10, and I'm going back Friday. She's my girl. I kicked her in the face twice. I love her so much.
Well, first of all, needle bending is not unusual in my practice because I treat musculoskeletal pain. Needle can bend. So acupuncture needles, they're made by surgical steel. You need to have some really sudden and impactful force to be able to bend the needles. So when someone is suffering from anterior spondylitis, so that means one of the spine, one of the vertebrae, particularly the lower one, has been slipped forward, and that caused compression to the nerves, soft tissues, and spinal cord in some cases. I mean, this kind of stories, it's not very unusual. I heard about that all the time, especially being an acupuncturist myself. But this story sounds a little bit crazy, that the needle bent and the acupuncturist never seen that and also got scared. And then she tells the patient that she's scared, and the patient tells her, should I be scared? I think it's just not a very good bedside manner. But other than that, the experience itself sounds transformational for this person.
I went to see an acupuncturist. When I got home, my voodoo doll was dead.
I think it's quite literal. I think it's funny. The history between voodoo and acupuncture, I mean, I think they have some correlations. So yeah, I think the joke is funny. I have no comments after that. Yeah.
Is it possible to cure sickness with acupuncture? Well, according to this doctor, you can breathe better and clear your sinuses in just a few seconds.
I currently have the flu, so let's see what this actually does to me.
Step 1 is to push in and out under your cheekbone. Then pull the bottom of your ear and your sinuses will begin to drain. Hold this for 10 seconds.
That definitely helped. Try it for yourself.
Okay. I think that's a really cool and effective method that you can use at home if you're experiencing some congestion and runny nose, and maybe you just feel stuffy and you want to help drain some fluid from your nose. I think that's actually a really practical way to do it. Yeah, she looked really terrified, I was about to say. Okay. Well, yeah, so the TMJ IMS is also one of the few common places that I do IMS on. So this particular physician looks like a little bit too gentle in order to really hit those trigger points. I personally will grab the muscle, I will poke the heck out of it until you see multiple muscle twitches to release the tension. But otherwise, it's a very effective way to release TMJ tension. Yeah, so TMJ muscles, they're located on the jaw. 5 of them just on the side of the face, and we have temporalis. We also have some micro muscle along the face too. And when you insert acupuncture needles onto those muscle groups and you add electric stimulations, and your muscle will be twitching on its own like crazy. But it's extremely effective for someone who have suffering from TMJ disorders, tension headaches, and imbalances in their jaw, and they wanted to realign their muscle tension.
So I started classes today. Ooh. Honestly, it was a good day. But as I'm sitting in class, I'm like, what the am I doing here? We start going over acupuncture points. Okay, I'm fine with that. Then we start speaking about metal, fire, earth, wind. Let me stop, not wind, but dang. Wish me good luck, Pray for me to get through this 4-year, another 4 years of school for the Doctor of Acupuncture program.
Unfortunately, that is my experience when I was going through my training. This profession is really not what most people think it is. It requires a lot of acceptance to things that you don't understand to begin with. Once you get a grasp and you get the principle, you get to see the result. You get to see how it's being applied in real life and how much difference you can make by applying something that you've learned that didn't make sense years ago. Unfortunately, I just don't think that it's for everyone who just purely have the interest. You also need to have a group of people that can also learn and grow together. Purely by yourself be very, very challenging.
Welcome back, everybody. Today we are talking about dry needling. So when you first introduce the needle into the skin, you get a noxious stimulus. Once you do the manipulation, you get the stretching of the collagen, which actually causes the degranulation of the mast cells. That releases adenosine, histamine, and ATP. Those molecules then bind to the nerve, which sends a signal to the spinal cord. Spinal cord sends a signal to the brain. The brain modulates that signal, changes the signal that comes down to the muscles and to the tissues, releasing the tightness and the pain.
Wow, this guy is such a biochem expert. At the end of the day, acupuncture was not a science, but rather it was an empirical experience. And now we have science, and we use science to explain how acupuncture works. And that can be a really long process, and I think it will take more than just one angle. It will probably take multiple angles to explain how acupuncture works as a whole. So there you have it. So I hope you find those videos helpful, informative, and somewhat funny. So I'm not sure but make sure that you do hit the subscribe button and likes so that I can reach more people to watch this kind of videos to change the world together. So I hope you enjoy that, and see you next time. Just touch my baby face for one more time. What's that thing on her jaw? Looks like she had some so I'm not sure whether that TikToker really had a fever, and I think he would do really well in explaining how does touching will work, how does breathing works too, in a very scientific way.